Hey everyone, welcome to my channel. My name is Vanessa and you are watching the Exploring Oracle, or the Exploracle for short. So let's continue with my deck collection series, and this time we will be looking at decks that have their own system. And yeah, I have a couple of decks here, and let's start off with the nameless one. This is by Sia Hunt or Alexandria Huntington, and this is a big deck. Um, I haven't really gotten into this deck yet. I just bought it when it was on sale. So she had this, I think 25% off sale on her website late last year. And okay, let me just show you. So this is a big deck. It's a lot bigger than standard tarot size. It is actually an oracle and tarot deck in one. And it is mostly sigil based. And if you already watched my video on decks by Filipino creators, there is a deck there that is sigil based that I have not gotten into because sigils intimidate me. So this is the same case. I got this because I find it really beautiful. I find it interesting. And I think there's really so much to learn from this deck. And I know this is going to be a commitment, a learning commitment. It's going to be a learning deck. It's going to take me a lot of time to get into this. But I just love Zia Hunt's work. I have the Children of Lita. I back the Children of Astara. And it just feels really special to me. Her work really feels special to me. And that's why, even though I know that I probably won't have time to look into this deck or to study this deck, maybe not even this year, I know that this is something that I would want to get into eventually. And I mean, look at the detail, look at the art at the back. I mean, even if you take away the sigils, I think this is really worth spending time and getting to know. She does have sales almost every Wheel of the Year celebration. So check it out. I think you can join her newsletter. You can follow her on Instagram, just so you are updated in case she does go on sale or she has a sale. And you can get this at a slightly discounted price because it is quite pricey. But for what you get, I mean, there's over 100 cards in this deck. And there is a separate grimoire, but I already think that the information here is enough. I did purchase the separate grimoire in the PDF format because it is a huge book that I feel my wrists wouldn't be able to handle holding anyway. So this is the nameless one by Sia Hunt. And oh yeah, so if this is the first time you're joining my collection series, I am grouping or deciding on each deck whether I'm going to keep it, whether I'm not too sure of keeping it, or if I'm definitely going to rehome it. For this deck, definitely a keep. I haven't even had time to get to know this deck too much, and I definitely want to in the future. Actually, most of the decks here I haven't gotten to know or used because they do have their own system, and lately I just haven't had time. Here is another new deck, or a relatively new deck that I got. This is the Arcanum Vitae deck, or the Secret of Life. This is by Studio Artemy. So I have most of her decks. I have the what's it called? The Amethyst Aura Tarot, and there's a blue one with the astrology symbols. But yeah, so I do like the quality of her decks. I feel she really puts a lot of thought into her work. There's a really good quality. So this is a Kickstarter that I backed, and it's its own system because it kind of is a mix of a Lenormand and an Oracle and a playing card divination style type deck. I haven't really gotten into that. I'm not really that familiar with how to read with these types of decks yet. But yeah, I've been studying Lenormand, but if it's something that you don't really practice, it's not going to come naturally. And I am still, I think, more focused on learning RWS. And you can see the images here, they are really well done. There's gilding or foil detail in each of the cards. It is gilded. Size is just right for my smaller hands. And it also comes with this deck. And this has the same backs and the same style as one of her decks, the Opal Omen, I think it was called. So you can actually interchange these cards with the major arcana on that deck. And yeah, I just find it really beautiful. So I just had to back it, when it was on Kickstarter. It is something that, her tarot deck is something that I really enjoy working with. It's one of those pippish decks that I feel has a lot of, or that I learn a lot from, because the guidebook is really good. So I do think that this is the same for this deck, or for this, the Arcanum Vitae deck. But again, I haven't really had time to get to know, to learn it. And for that reason, knowing that I like the quality, I like her work so far, this is definitely a keep in my collection as well. Okay, so there's a lot of big decks here. This is a Dreams of Gaia Tarot, and this one is by Raven Phelan, and this one I have worked with. I also modified this deck. I got the second hand. I used to have the smaller version of this as well, but I rehomed that and just kept this big version, which I had modified and trimmed. I'll show you later. Now, what I like about this deck is really the guidebook. So it's been mentioned multiple times that it's really a really good guidebook. It's very psychological. You can learn a lot from it. And I do have to agree, although I haven't really gotten into this much, because I have a lot of plans, that I love working with guidebooks. I love purchasing things that I feel I would learn a lot from. But in practice, I only have so much time to focus or to work on decks, or to work with decks. And I just simply don't have enough time. But I did have enough time to trim and edge this deck. So this used to have bigger borders. So I trimmed it and edged it. The art style is very fantasy-like, cosmic and nature-based at the same time. I do enjoy pulling from this deck, and I actually enjoyed modifying it. So it's more standard tarot size now. I love the colors. Feels very vibrant. It reads differently, and I don't really read it as an RWS. I just pick a card and read from the guidebook just to see what messages it might bring. Now, it's been, I think, it's been years since I last pulled from this deck, but I don't feel any need to rehome it. So I'm still gonna keep it. I think we still have a lot of things that we can work on or that we can discover together. So that is definitely a keep. Next, another chunky deck. This is Unveiling the Golden Age by Izzy Ivy. Oops. Okay. This is I think a Blue Angel deck. Blue Angel Tarot. Hold on. Now, again, a look at this guidebook. Most of these decks that I haven't worked with have really, really expansive and meaty guidebooks. And I think that's also one of the reasons why I haven't worked with them yet. It's really because I don't have the time. I can't, the time, the space, the energy to focus and learn this system. And probably that's why most, if not all, of the decks in this collection I would probably be keeping because I just haven't had or spent much time. Um, this deck to me is really special. It is not usually the art style or the type of deck that I am drawn to because it does feel quite star seedy, high vibe, and all that. But I mean, look at that. Look at the art. Look at it's just gorgeous. And I know that if I do start getting into it and learning from it, there's just so much to get into, so much detail, so much to learn about. And I feel the energy in this deck. Like, I get goosebumps. I don't get that with a lot of decks, but this one definitely does that to me. And I know that, you know, when I'm ready, this is going to be a really special deck. So just showing you the cards. It is a matte cardstock. This is a mass market deck. So the Dreams of Gaia is mass market. The Arcanum and the Nameless One are indies. But yeah, this is just something that I feel I can learn a lot from. And it is also edged, this beautiful matte, like gold. And yeah, so also a keep, because just getting into this deck or thinking about getting into this deck excites me and also gives me anxiety at the same time. Okay, let's go with another mass market deck. So this is the Vice Versa Tarot. So this is by Linnea Weatherstone. It also has a pretty sizable guidebook. And I got this because I felt it would give you a different perspective on the RWS. So basically you would have this side. So this is the usual RWS imagery that we all know and love and are familiar with. But the backs show the other side of that card. And it's not, supposedly it's not like a reversal or anything. So it shows you just a different perspective of the card. And that's why I categorized it as having its own system. I honestly don't know how to read with it yet, and I haven't really used it, but it was something that I was interested in adding into my collection because it would help me get additional perspective. And you know, all of these things I do want to learn, and I did purchase all of these decks with an intention to learn, but time and work gets in the way. But yes, still a keep because I have not worked with it yet. Now, in the same vein, we also have this deck. This is the Elemental Tarot. So it's more elemental. So it's the symbology of fire, earth, air, and water. It's another mass market deck. Again, substantial guidebook, which I like. So that's really why I wanted to get it. The art style here is not really something that I am drawn to, but it does remind me of what's that deck? The Oracle of the Radiant Sun. So I think it would pair really well with that. But yeah, it is somewhat different, or it has its own system. Aside from focusing on the elemental, it also has different information that you can get from the cards. It's a glossy cardstock, feels a little bit thin, not really the best cardstock. Also, this type of packaging is something that I do not enjoy, but yeah, honestly, I think I did get this more for the guidebook because it was mentioned as having a really good guidebook, and I'm not usually drawn to this type of art, but you know, I haven't worked with it, so I can't really say whether it's for me or not. But yeah, so because of the guidebook, I purchased this, and definitely also a keep because I haven't worked with it yet. Okay, next on my list, we have here two decks from Robert M. Place. Now, this one is the Alchemical Tarot Renewed. This is the 6th edition, and this is the 2nd edition of the Tarot of the Sevenfold Mystery. Now, I got this because of an interest in alchemy. It's not something that I know I can get into or really absorb at this time. Just don't have the mental capacity to do it. But yes, the artwork, it's really unique. I think this is a very special art style by Robert M. Place, and the symbology that it has, there's a lot to get into and a lot to learn from, and also a really unique art style. It looks very clean, very neat. But yeah, I don't have anything like this in my collection, and I was automatically drawn to it. I think initially, and even up to now, I am intimidated by this deck, but at the same time, I want to learn from it. And that's why most of the decks here I really haven't used, because I think it deserves a lot more time than what I can offer at this moment. But yes, so definitely a keep. And same goes for the Tarot of Sevenfold Mystery. Okay, so it's sticking a little bit in the box, but yeah, so it's a different system, if I'm not mistaken. And look at the images, right? It's just stunning. There's so much detail. I really enjoy looking at the art. I don't know if you can read this like a typical RWS, but my cards are sticking because I have not used them. But yeah, I'm drawn to these images. And eventually I know that I will get into these. But for now, they are part of my collection, but they are decks that I will definitely be keeping. And let me show you, because most of the guidebooks, or it only comes with a little white book. But I also purchased the book that you can use to read with these decks. And let me just put this back and get that for you so you have an idea of... Oh, I cannot put it back, so let me put that to the side. So I just want to show you the guidebook for this. So this is the Tarot, Magic, Alchemy, Hermeticism, and Neoplatonism 3rd edition book, and my gosh, it is an encyclopedia. Like, it's over 680 pages. It is huge, it is heavy, it is really massive, and supposedly it is not that difficult to read though, so I am hoping that that is the case when I do start getting into this, because I really do want to learn. I mean, the reason why I got into tarot and why I got so hooked into tarot is because there's just so much to learn. It's like an endless learning opportunity. And for a geek like me, this is just really exciting. So eventually, I do feel I will get into this deck. I think I just need to start. But yeah, these are the Robert M. Place decks that I have. They have their own system. Definitely keeping these. Okay, so let's put that to the side, and then let's move on. Okay, so this is the Spirit Keeper's Tarot. This is by Benabel Wen. She also has a really massive book called The Holistic Tarot. I have the Amazon version, the Kindle version of that book, but I think it is even thicker and bigger than the book by Robert M. Place. Now this deck, it feels really... it's really there's so much detail, there's so much intricacy in this deck. There's so much to get into. But out of all of the decks that I have, I feel like this is the one that I think is going over my head. Now, I don't have the guidebook or the full guidebook for this deck, but I also don't know whether I'm interested in pursuing learning about this. It just feels overwhelming to me, just looking at it and thinking about what I can get into. And unlike the other decks, unlike the previous decks that I also still need to learn, this just feels overwhelming and scary for me to learn. I don't think I can wrap my head around it. But it's so beautiful and so detailed. I'm not sure about this one. I don't really know whether it's something that I would actually want to learn or get into or focus on in the future. This is the first edition of the Revelation edition. So there is already a second edition out, which I think has brighter colors. And I don't know. From the previous decks, I was sure to keep them, but this one I think is a maybe. Okay, up next we have, this is Ephemer. This is by Arthur Wang, the creator of the True Black Tarot. And this deck, I put some silica gels because I feel like the humidity might ruin or damage a deck in some way. But this is just a gorgeous, gorgeous deck. And I also have the True Black Tarot. I put it in another category. But this one, it is in a rose petal finish, but feels slightly thinner than the True Black. And it's so much more easy for me to handle and to shuffle compared to the True Black. The images are just beautiful. It feels celestial, godlike. It has its own system in the sense that it doesn't talk about the fool's journey, but the hero's journey. And you would notice that the names of the majors are different, and they are not the typical ones that we are familiar with. Now, compared to the other decks that have their own system, I think this is one that I might be able to get into much more quickly, but I just haven't had the time. But this is just so beautiful. I mean, it's also, I think, my most expensive deck. This one and the True Black, I think, are the most expensive decks in my collection. But yeah, just stunning. And I'm mesmerized. I get lost in the art. I haven't really used this because I still have to learn it, but it feels so much more easy to handle compared to the True Black Tarot. And I think that I will enjoy working with this once I get to know it. But yeah, for now, this is something that I will definitely be keeping, but I haven't really worked with. So that is the Ephemer. And then we have here, this is, what is this called? The Korean tarot card, The Secret of the Kingdom. So this is supposedly a tarot deck, but I would actually be treating this more like an oracle. And this definitely has its own system. As you can see, there are keywords that would describe the scene. And I got this on sale in Amazon, and I also got this to help aid me with how I read decks. So it feels like it's telling a story. And even if it's not really for divination or anything, I just want to practice my skill of laying down a few cards and just reading the story that it tells me. And because of the scenery, the way the images are depicted, I think you can really do that. So it's more of a practice deck for me. The quality is really good, but the translation in the guidebook is not that great. And I enjoy reading guidebooks. I enjoy the perspective of the creator. So if the guidebook is not that good, it actually affects how I connect with the deck. But this one, actually, this one is a maybe. I'm not really sure because I got this. I haven't really used it, so it's been with me for several months now. Let me just show you. So there is a translation here. There is a write-up, but I kind of feel it's lacking, but maybe I was expecting to work with it in a way that it's not fulfilling that particular expectation. So I'm not too sure about this one. So I think this is a maybe. It's not an outright rehome, but yeah. This one is the Osho Transformation Tarot. So it's called a tarot, but I don't think so, because I wouldn't consider it as a tarot because there's only 60 cards. So this is another oversized deck, and I got this, I think, as a freebie or as part of a trade over 2 years ago already. So I think this deck is actually out of print. I don't know what to feel about this deck. I wouldn't have gotten it if it wasn't part of that set or if it wasn't part of that trade. There's really no interest. I don't have any interest in learning about this particular philosophies or the art style is interesting. I don't think I've given this deck a chance, to be honest, but I just don't feel called to use it. I don't know if I'm just keeping it because it's supposedly out of print, but it doesn't really have a particular value to me now, and I don't really feel called to learn or to read about this deck. Maybe I think this is really for rehoming. It's just that I don't also know who would appreciate it because I can't really say that it's a tarot. So yeah, for now it's a maybe, but leaning towards rehoming this deck. So that is the Osho Transformation Tarot. And the last in this collection is the Everglow. So this is a divination system by Trisha Leigh Schufelt. So this is a mass market deck. Comes with a really good guidebook. Now, supposedly you have different categories in this deck. Let me just quickly see whether it tells you the categories. So I think in this deck you do have so here you have like, I think it has like a major arcana or different arcanas. So you have the elementals, the minor cards, the houses. You have numerological cards. You have suit cards. You have time frame cards. Just to show you, so you have here. I think these are the basic cards. Don't know what it's called. I'm sorry. But you do have, the element cards, the time cards. I think I've shuffled this, so I think that's why it's not in order. You also have these numerological cards, so the numerology and some keywords. You have the houses here. You have action cards, emotions, security thoughts, prompts. So it's a whole system, but if you do watch a video that Trisha created, she does say that you don't really have to overcomplicate it. You can use it any way you want. You can just pull a card. You can take away cards that you're not using. And I think that I don't really think that this would be something that I would also overcomplicate. It's just that I haven't really had time to put this into my rotation. Now for the packaging though, I do not like these types of boxes. As you can see, it's already coming apart. The book looks quite informative. The cardstock on this does feel a little bit cardboardy, just so you know, but it does feel like a usable cardstock. So as long as it's usable, I don't really have much of an issue. And most of the cards here, most of the decks I have are quite huge. So I don't really think I would be able to fit most of them in frame. But let's just try. And basically, these are my decks with their, oops, with their own systems. Yeah, I won't be able to fit everything in. And I don't even want to try anymore. But basically, I hope you enjoyed this video. If you want to see the rest of my collection, stay tuned because I will be posting another one soon. I hope you enjoyed this video and I'll see you again next time. Bye!